Hey everybody, this is Nikki with My Life Out Loud with Nikki coming to you with a short video. So I got on here today because I realized that I was watching this show, and as I was watching this show from the beginning to the end, I saw that there was a woman who was being mistreated by her husband and her husband's family, right? And they kicked her out of the house, told her she was going to be nothing, nobody. He had a mistress, decided that he was going to marry his mistress, and she had a son instead of a daughter. The mistress had a son instead of a daughter. The woman had a daughter instead of a son. So the family wanted a son so that they can pass down inheritance, of course. So they chose the mistress over the wife and said she was nothing but a housemaid, blah, 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 blah. So as the story goes on, the plot thickens because now she has a daughter that's like kind of gifted and that can, I want to say, kind of like see things that can happen. And so she told her mother, like, hey, mom, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. Forget the deadbeat dad, your deadbeat husband. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay. And so the mother she had some marital money that had been saved up, and she took that and she went and bought some land, and she invested the money, and then turned around, she invested the money in a piece of land that somebody else wanted. So a billionaire wanted to buy this land because they wanted to complete a project that they had been working on. And she got to the land before they did, so they had to find her in order to buy this land back from her. As the story goes on, they buy the land for, of course, way more than what she paid for the land. And then come to find out she wasn't just a housewife. She was actually talented and gifted and has set her gifts aside in order to be a mom and a wife. Okay. So what ended up happening is she was a jewelry designer. And so she ended up designing this piece of jewelry. And she took her money and she placed it in a company that was going to be in this competition, but they were failing miserably. So they needed a new stockholder, which she just came at the right time. And she was a jewelry designer, and you had to be a part of a certain company to enter into this competition. So she was very strategic. She took the money, she bought stock, she ended up representing the company in the competition, winning, of course, because she was like one of the, she was very good and talented and gifted at designing jewelry. So she won. And then not only did she win, but then she ended up in the right place at the right time by fate to help save a woman before she got into a car accident. And this came out to be the most, I guess, popular in high demand jewelry companies ever, which turned around and offered her a position, which put her in a place to be able to control, billions of dollars and whoever their followers were, right? So as this was going on, the ex-husband, of course, is trying to tear her down, trying to stop her, trying to compete with her, become better than her, whatever it is. However it went, he was like her biggest demise when it came to her succeeding and being successful after he threw her out. And some of his words was, hey, nobody's going to want you. I already threw you out to the streets, which also just says that one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? Because now this guy that wanted to buy this land, this billionaire guy, he now liked her and remembered her somehow from their childhood, as if this whole situation was just fate for her, right? So I say all that because today actually God gave me a scripture too, and it was from Psalm 34, chapter 34, verse 19. If you don't know where to find it, read your whole Bible. But it says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. Okay. So thank you, hallelujah. As I was listening and looking at this video and listening to the words and the things that were being said, it hit my spirit to see that this woman had many afflictions starting out. She had her own talents, her own gifts and everything, but she had set her life aside to be a wife and to be a mother. Now, any kid born into this world is the best thing that ever happened to you. But I feel as though in this video, God was speaking revelation, okay? And what I saw was that it doesn't matter, what you're going through and how long you go through it, God can still bring you out. And sometimes when people walk away, or when people, things don't work out at a work, in a relationship, because that's what the going thing is right now. People are going through things at work, relationships, physically, mentally, just going through certain things. And just because things don't work out, don't mean that your life is still not prepared and ahead of you. Sometimes we're in those situations because those are situations we allow ourselves to be in, knowing that they're not, they don't live up to what we are gifted and talented for, but yet we find ourselves settling in places. So I feel like this woman has settled, but she had all this talent and all these gifts, but she could not recognize them until she came out of the situation that she was in. I don't know who this is for, but I think that whatever situation that you're in, don't just sit there, okay? Don't just sit there. Don't just settle. You are very gifted. You are very talented. There is a whole life waiting for you. And all you have to do is make the decision. And I noticed one thing, that this woman's daughter was her encourager. That was like encouraging her. Sometimes you don't have that. You might have to encourage yourself, right? But I can say that if there's somebody encourage you, let them encourage you and believe what they say about you, because no matter what life looks like, life will make you feel like you're what I want to say. Let me stop and put my words together. What I want to say is life will make it seem as though you need to give up because it has already passed you by. But it has not passed you by. Matter of fact, you haven't even started yet. And most people, when we go through things, it's because it's teaching us how to handle what the future looks like for us, okay? So don't be discouraged. Just, as this woman did, she just got up and she started moving in her mindset. Now, I know it sounds a little, surreal, but her mindset was actually capable, and this can be in real life. I've seen people with incredible $1 million mindsets, and just making one investment changed her whole life. It changed the whole trajectory of her life and her finances. And then after that, it was one blessing after another. I've been hearing this through Amos 9:13, that it's going to be one blessing on the heel of another. So as I see this, not only did she end up with the life that she really wanted, the finances that she deserved, but she ended up marrying this guy that, that she had fell in love with years and years before, but she ended up in a counterfeit relationship. And then she ended up meeting back up with this guy through an investment, and they, ended up, he proposed to her, they were getting married, blah, 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 right? But the thing is that though, for the people who think your life is over, sometimes life is just getting started, and you're a lot smarter than what you were before. And there's certain things that you won't allow to happen. So I don't know, maybe some people, are out there on a functional freeze. And I just want to say that life is waiting for you. Life is waiting for you, and life is still life, and it can be you're one investment away. You're one decision away. And it could be that person who was like, oh, you could still be with that person that's treating you like, you don't deserve what you deserve, but you feel it, it. It's time to walk away. It's time to start over. Don't be afraid to start over. I have had to start over so many times in my life, okay? And I'd be like, why? But I see what God was doing too. So I just want to tell somebody, for a person that had to start over, make it happen for themselves, continue to encourage themselves, you're just one investment away. Some is like one day away from changing your whole life, okay? So don't stop now. Keep going. And remember the Psalms 34, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him from them all, out of them all. You're walking into the promised land, and some people are already in the promised land, okay? So just know, I think I was going over Joshua too, with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about how the same thing that God did for Moses, he did in the book of Joshua. He parted the Red Sea in Genesis, but in Joshua, he literally dried up the river so that they can walk into their promised land. So don't think because if things look dry right now that you're not in the promised land. You're right there. Just because things look dry doesn't mean you're not in the promised land. That means God has cleared the way for you to get to the promised land. He has made a way out of no way. You can't perceive it yet, but won't you perceive it? All things are becoming new. And not only that, but as they got into the town of their promised land, here comes the situation where they had to walk around the wall for 7 days to bring down the walls of Jericho. So they still had some sort of adversity even going into the promised land. So it just says that life is going to be life, and you just got to believe what season you're in, what you've come out of, and what you're walking into. Okay. And some of us, we can feel it. We can feel it strongly that God is doing something different and something new. So just be encouraged and know that God is working it out for you. Okay? I love you guys. Bye.